Hello.
Hey.
Day 2, our first full day.
We drove a lot today.
We did drive a lot today.
Where did we go?
We left Bismarck at
North Dakota.
North Dakota. We left Bismarck and we drove 2 hours to Theodore Roosevelt National Park, and drove through the rain. It was just spitting, and
Rain all day.
it did kind of rain all day.
Mm-hmm.
But we went to the visitor center at Theodore Roosevelt, and while we were there, we got ranger packets that our kids did not fill out.
Such a bummer.
They could not sit still. No. So
we did. Wait, it took us a while. I think we finally hit our car. I don't know where to look. I think we finally hit our car trip.
Max.
Stride. I feel like we finally hit it like maybe 14 hours in, because I think I was about ready to drop some kids off on the side of the road. And even I think some of our kids...
Which kids?
Even I think some of our kids were ready to drop us off on the side of the road too.
Yes.
Nobody was grooving and
we
communicating.
Had stressful moments.
And there was lots of discipline, however you take that. But I think we finally...
Hit our groove.
And then we arrived in Montana. But what did you like about Theodore Roosevelt?
So we went on a hike, and we went to Wind Point, or Wind Canyon or something.
That was a cute little hike.
Yeah, it wasn't very far.
Because we were in the rain. I'll post pictures.
Yeah, but it was fun just to hike in the rain. The kids are jumping in the mud, and...
Bog boots, FYI, are totally legit and worth every bit of pennies. Even if you have to sell a kidney, get them if you have kids. Because our kids had their bogs on and went through every single puddle that they could imagine, and their feet stayed dry. Parker's didn't, but the water was going inside his boots because he just can't comprehend that.
He was deep. So we learned this. Apparently, in Theodore Roosevelt National Park, you are not allowed to take your dog on hiking trails.
Pish posh.
But we did. Apparently, we walked right past the sign that said you shouldn't, and Zion had a great time.
He did. Theodore Roosevelt is such a cool place. Y'all, this guy is so cool.
The president.
Yes, the president, Theodore Roosevelt. He never intended to be president, number one. And number two, Theodore Roosevelt State Park, it was kind of built where it was. Because back 1800s,
because it's like 1880s or something like that. 1885.
He came out from New York to come and hunt buffalo. And he fell in love with the Badlands. And y'all, there's so many of you that will say, Badlands are okay. It's incredible. Do you find so much beauty in it?
It is super fun.
Well, so good old Teddy.
And they stretch from South Dakota to North Dakota. Like, they're a long piece of...
I didn't know that. Well, good old Teddy came out and fell in love with the area. And then sadly, on one of his trips out here, he lost both his wife and his mom the same day.
Hours.
The same day. And he did have one child at the time. And after he lost his mom and one of the things it said, once he lost his two best friends, he took an entire year to grieve. And so what he did, I think it was his daughter, he had some family members watch his daughter for an entire year, and he came out here, not here, there,
to
in North Dakota, where he fell in love with the place, and that is where he mourned, and that's where he grieved, and
he
that
worked
is where
on
he
a
found
ranch
peace.
while he was there.
Kind of think he knew Jesus, just with the different things of just of finding your peace and coming to terms with the women in his life dying, which I just can't even imagine. I hope he knew Jesus, but and so we stood in one of his cabins, homes.
Yeah, a house that he lived in.
He went to this cabin to grieve the loss of these women. And there was just something I don't want to say magical because it was so sad being in there. You see his bed, you see his trunk that he packed his clothes in, and even his rocking chair. I guess Teddy really liked to rock in rocking chairs.
'Cause who wouldn't?
I know. But, so just maybe what the word is it was powerful. This, what did they call it? Not a resort.
It was a ranch.
A ranch. I mean, it looked like a little log cabin. But this ranch was maybe filled with hope, a place of hope. So surely, like, Jesus is our hope and he is our peace. And so maybe the presence of God felt like it was in this cabin because it was just a really neat place. And so it just gives more respect to President Theodore Roosevelt of just how cool he is. We have a lot we want to learn about him.
Yeah.
I took some pictures of some books. He's just a cool guy.
Apparently, as acting president, he never was one to shy away from a fight. And so he was in a full-fledged boxing match as president and got punched in the face so hard he lost vision in one of his eyes while he was president, and it was like a sanctioned fight.
Huh,
so
I didn't see that.
He's the kind of manly man that I would like to meet.
He had a T-shirt. There was a T-shirt on display with a bullet hole, y'all. The very T-shirt he was wearing with a bullet hole that he had gotten shot. He was about ready to give a speech, and he was pale.
Somebody tried to assassinate him.
He was pale and
it didn't
losing
take.
blood, whatever. And he was quoted saying, "Doctors, I am going to give this speech, or I'm gonna die. So whichever, like, I'm going to give this speech if I die." So just his dedication and his passion, and it kept saying over and over how he was known. Politicians didn't like him because he was fair and honest. And just a reminder, I think, of what are people going to say about us when we die. I don't know why I'm going super deep right now.
I know you are.
But just I don't know. I want to be known as fair and honest, and maybe even if people don't like me because of that, I'm ready.
And so
Just
Theodore
assassinate
Roosevelt was the reason why we have, or the catalyst for the national parks too. So he went out to Yosemite because he heard John Muir's writings and things like that about how beautiful Yosemite was. So he went out there, and as acting president, he went out there and met with him, and then he started making national parks and set aside land. So, like, we're benefiting right now from Theodore Roosevelt. And so,
come explore the national parks. So we are in Montana.
Yes, we're in
Havre, Montana. Havre.
Yeah.
If anyone knows how to say that, please let us know.
We're 3 hours east of Glacier National, of the east side of Glacier National Park. We are in this cute little
adorable evergreen campground in Havre, Montana. If you're ever passing through, or when you're passing through, make sure you stop at this place.
So there in Havre, there's a train that runs right next to Highway 2, which is the main highway up here. And I got an insider tip not to stay at a campground on the north side near the railroad.
Every 10
and
minutes.
Every 20 minutes as we were driving up, we passed a train. So we're glad to be way off of that road. We're about 6 miles out of town. But this place is cute and legit.
Fun. We'll pack up tomorrow. Our floors got really clean today. What was the real life moment that happened there?
I was hoping not to address that in the video. So we have full hookups, and so I was cleaning out the gray tank and the black tank, and so I was filling them, and got distracted playing soccer with the family, and apparently the gray tank filled, and then it started to overflow into the camper, and so all of our towels are washed now.
Little to say, my sister, my brother-in-law, and I took the kids on a walk. Because I was not happy with our flooded camper.
But I have been forgiven.
Of course.
So.
What are we doing? So we are hitting the road tomorrow morning to go to Glacier National Park. Glacier or bust. Here we come. We are so excited to get there. Word on the street is it's going to rain for like the next 2 days. But still,
It'll be fun.
There.
We'll go to the, if it rains, we'll go into the visitor center and we'll learn all about what Glacier has to offer, and we'll still go on hikes and...
So we hope you find these videos encouraging you to get out and explore these national parks and figure out why they're here and how much work has gone into preserving these things. And also, there's no excuse of why you can't do it. Financial reasons, we don't make money. 2, you have too many kids. We have a ridiculous amount of kids. And too young of kids. Seriously.
Our kids are too young.
Our kids are all young. So, you have no excuses.
But it's so fun. It's totally worth doing.
It was worth losing my mind in the car today.
Yes. But we only have 3 more hours, and then we're there.
And we get to stay for like 5 days or 6. I don't remember. But it's something incredible. So, get out, explore these national parks. Good night.
Good night.